Hey y'all, are you here to figure out how to start a pantry? What to put in that pantry and how to build it over time, or even how to have an emergency stash of food for just in case those times you need it? We've come to the right place. I'm going to give you step by step on what you should consider on how to start to build your pantry and the process in maintaining it. Welcome friends to Finance Working Mama. My name is Heather and thanks for joining me today on how to start to build a pantry or even a small food emergency stash. There are three things that I hear a lot when talking to friends about trying to build and maintain a pantry. Number one, it is overwhelming. What do I mean by overwhelming is that they say that they have all this food in stock, but it's a lot for them to handle. And I get that. There's things in my household that I have a lot of and they need to be worked through or they need to be decluttered and I don't want to deal with it. So I just shut the door and I don't deal with it. That's not good. So how do you manage that? The second thing is where to even begin. And once I begin, how do I maintain it? And then three is I don't have the space for additional food in my house. However, I'm going to share with you maybe a tip or trick that will provide you some encouragement that you can at least have one or two meals stashed somewhere for that emergency. So friends, the best way for me to help you understand how to start building a process and talk you through it is to share with you my journey and how I restocked my pantry and where I began. And for years, I actually kept a solid pantry, even when I was single. I mean, that was the way I was raised. My parents always had a stock of food. My grandparents living on a farm always had a stock of food. So that was always something that was ingrained in me, even as a small child. So when I got on my own and it was just me and then it was my husband, I always kept a nice little pantry of items that I could cook at any time. Then I had children and children became the priority of our lives, obviously. And then me as a working mother and trying to just keep all the balls in the air and juggle them without having them fall on the ground. And the pantry was no longer really a priority for me to maintain until it became a priority for me to maintain. I'm going to put in the description below the video I shared last year on why I started to rebuild my pantry. And it was a meltdown that I had one evening when I realized that I had nothing in my pantry to make lunch for my kids the next day. So I'm going to share with you guys exactly how I started again. And then for the people out there that are like, I just really don't have the room, I'm going to share with you what I did when I had a small space and didn't have a lot of storage, where I stored additional pantry items for those emergencies. Start with kids' lunches. I always keep in stock the following items. I always keep in stock mac and cheese. I try to always maintain at least 5 boxes of mac and cheese. Pasta. This is an easy one. Most people can find a box of pasta in their pantry of some sort. What I like about this particular pasta is it has a protein, a vegetable protein in it, so it gives it a little bit more protein base. My kids will have this just with butter. I put them in their thermoses in the morning and it's still warm for them to eat lunch. Occasionally, they're going to want some pasta mixed in with those noodles that I can cook and put in their thermoses as well. Soup. And it has to be this soup. It's the noodles. They like the noodles in the chicken broth and the chicken soup. So I always try to catch this on sale. And when I catch it on sale, I buy a lot of it. Again, I try to always keep 5 cans of this soup for my girls. Warm up their thermoses, heat up the soup. This one soup can feed both my girls for one lunch. Fruits. My kids enjoy a fruit with every meal. for pretty much breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So what do I do for fruits? Kids love applesauce. Keep lots of applesauce on hand. When these go on sale, they like the unsweetened applesauce, the unsweetened strawberry and apple, and the unsweetened cinnamon. So when they're on sale, I buy them. I buy at least 3 or 4 of them. If it's a really good deal, then I'll probably buy 5 or 6 of them and keep them on hand. I always keep at least 5 going in my pantry at a time of applesauce. Mandarin oranges, that's another fruit favorite. Sliced peaches and pineapples. Those are all the fruits that my children enjoy that come out of a can. And of course, I try to keep at least 5 of each in my pantry at all times. So my kids eat vegetables at lunch and dinner, and they will eat at room temperature green beans straight out of a can. I know you're saying, really? Straight out of a can? That is correct. No butter, absolutely 0 spices. Drain it, rinse them, put them on their plate, and my kids will gobble it up. They'll do the same thing with sliced canned carrots. Now, I do make a habit of making sure that in my freezer, I keep a really good stock of frozen vegetables. Frozen broccoli and cauliflower, frozen carrots, frozen string beans. All of those, all I have to do is steam them in the microwave, put them in their lunch or dinner, and they will eat those at room temperature with 0 spices. I kid you not, 0 spices. I also try to keep fruit juices for their lunches. They usually get milk or fruit juice in their lunch every day. And so that I try to have at least 5 lunch beverages in stock at all time. This is fruit juice boxes. I also keep in stock, my oldest daughter likes the chocolate milk. My youngest daughter likes the just white milk. These are shelf staple milks. They don't have to be refrigerated. Great pantry item. They can be a bit pricey. I try to find them on sale. Walmart seems to have these on sale, the cheapest, not on sale, but just the cheapest. You can get a pack of 6 for sometimes around $6 and some change, and sometimes $8 and some change. It just really depends on what the price is at the time on the shelf. But these are great. You can use them for lunches, and you can also use them for breakfast if you need milk for cereal. Peanut butter and jelly. Can't go wrong with it. You can also do peanut butter and honey. Kids like that as well. But, obviously you need bread. I always try to have at least 2 frozen bread loaves in my freezer at all times. We're a little bit brand loyal in our house because I'm particular about the ingredients inside the bread that they're going to be having. So this particular bread, when it goes on sale, typically goes on sale once a month at one of the store locations that are near my house. So when they go on sale, I try to buy at least 2 to 4 of them at a time, and I keep 2 frozen at all times in my freezer for those very moments of I don't have time to go to the store. I'm also wondering, will kids like to have treats, Heather? Everyone deserves a treat at lunch, right? And that I also have planned as well. I always keep a muffin mix on hand, and I also always keep brownie mixes on hand. These go on sale at some point, whatever brand, whatever store, at least once a month. When they do, and I find it's a good price, I'll stock up. I'll get at least at all times have 5 muffin mixes and 5 brownie mixes on hand at all time in my pantry. So that way I can always make a sweet treat for my kids to go into their lunches, or a dessert at night. Now, many of you are saying, Heather, that many of them will need milk, or they might need an egg. Again, I always keep in stock shelf staple milk. You can find this at Walmart. You can find it at most stores. The cheapest I've seen these types of milks are at Walmart. This is 32 ounces. You could use this in all your cooking. It's just like coming out of the cow. It is 100% dairy milk. It tastes like milk. You can put it in the fridge, get it nice and cold. Guys, it's milk. You can use this in your baking. You can use it for your kids for milk in the morning, in your cereal. Great thing to have in your pantry. Once you open it, you need to obviously refrigerate it. So that answers the milk question of the bake item. The next thing you're going to say is, well, how about an egg? How about if you don't have eggs? Well, in this day and time, friends, you know as well as I do, having a substitute for using eggs is important because, one, can you find eggs? And if you do find an egg, can you possibly afford the eggs? But for a substitution in eggs, you can use the following. You can use, a lot of times, eggs are used to help the bake item to rise or to bind together. For a substitution for one egg, you can use a tablespoon of either apple cider vinegar or white vinegar and a teaspoon of baking soda. If you put those together, mix it and put it into your baked good, it will take the place of one egg. So if you need 2 eggs, obviously you need 2 tablespoons of vinegar and 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Now, breakfast, obviously I choose the items that I know my family will eat. There's no point in stocking something that you think is a good idea and healthy, but no one's going to eat it. So, you know what? Pancakes are always everyone's friend, and you want to get the complete pancake mix because all you have to do is add water. You don't have to worry about milk, you don't have to worry about egg, just add the water and you can serve it up. Now my family likes it with either with syrup or they'll do it with honey, and what has been popular as of late is peanut butter or Nutella on top of it. So obviously I keep all of that on hand. Nutella and peanut butter and honey is always in stock, as well as jelly, because those are all items my kids like to either put on toast, pancakes, biscuits. Speaking of biscuits, I like to keep this on hand. Now, this is just like Bisquick, if you're familiar with Bisquick. It is a baking mix. You can make all kinds of things with this particular mix. I like to use it for biscuits because all it's requiring is typically milk, water, and the mix itself. And you could easily make drop biscuits with it, and it takes no time at all. And my kids love it when it's warm, and they can put it with butter or strawberry jam is a favorite. But this is really delicious, and it also gives you some other ingredients, other recipes that you can make with it, like waffles. Box of cereal that I know the entire family enjoys. My family, all of us, not really me, I don't really eat cereal, but my kids and my husband will eat this. And I will tell you, this is the Aldi brand, and their brand doesn't have the 2 bad preservatives in it, the BHT and the THT in it, which is the reason why I like to buy the Aldi brand. This is great. Everyone really enjoys it. It fills the belly up. It does have some nutrition because, of course, they have all those minerals that they throw into the wheat. But keep one of these on hand at all times. I try to keep with cereal. I try to keep at least 3 in stash in my pantry at all times. Can't go wrong with oatmeal, instant oatmeal, friends. I mean, it's delicious. You can put anything with it. Now, some of you are saying, well, Heather, you need some milk with a lot of those items. And yes, you do. Cereal, you obviously do. You need some for oatmeal if you want to make it creamy. Now, I know when I grew up, my mother used non-fat. Well, she used just the dry milk powder. I could only find non-fat. If you find the whole fat, I guess that's good too. But my mother used to get this stuff all the time, powdered milk. And she would get a gallon of milk. We would drink half of it down, and then she would bulk it back up using the instant milk and water, make it back up to a gallon. As kids, we never knew the difference. And she did that for as long as I remember. I've shared with you guys what I like to keep on stock, on hand for lunches, and how my system of keeping it in stock. And then I share with you the items that I keep in stock for breakfasts. I will get to in just a moment on the items I always keep on hand for those dinners. I try to at least keep 5 dinner options always in the pantry that I can go to at any moment to pull and make for the family. But let me share with you what I did when I was in that arena of didn't have a lot of closet space, didn't have a lot of storage space, and didn't really have a pantry. Like, I don't really have a pantry now. I've allocated a decent amount of space in our garage to do what I call my long-term pantry storage. But before I even had a garage, I had to find and be a little bit more creative on stashing some emergency foods. This can help for an array of reasons. One, it can help during storm situations. I grew up in eastern North Carolina, and hurricane season was always around. And you always needed some stored food items that you could go to that did not depend on electricity. So I was accustomed of having a bit of emergency stash of food. But how did I maintain that? So what I did, I used a container like this. It's long and flat. You're probably wondering why a long and flat container. In every house or apartment I ever lived in, I had one space that was always available, and that was underneath my bed in my guest bedroom. It had enough space to where I could slide this underneath, and that's where I stored my emergency food. So let's just say you need to do that. If you're in the situation where you need a little bit of emergency food, but only have a small amount of space, then you want to do something very simple. You probably want to do a boxed cereal in here. You could probably even do the pancake mix, complete mix, because that's just, everyone enjoys pancakes. Put some log cabin syrup in here as well. And then, of course, you always want the stashes of milk in hand. So there we go. We have some breakfast aside. You can probably also throw in several packages of this, or even if you had room, you could also put some oatmeal packets in here as well. Lunches, obviously, everyone loves the mac and cheeses. My kids love that. Soups, great. Obviously, I'm putting my kids' favorite soups because that's what they enjoy. I'm also going to put some soups that the adults are going to enjoy. I know my husband's going to like the jambalaya, and I'm going to like the chicken noodle. Just the good old chunky home-style chicken noodle that Campbell makes. PB&J, you can't go wrong with that. Nutella, honey, that can go on sandwiches, it can go on biscuits, it can go on pancakes. Fruit juices. And then, of course, milks. You can put a couple more right there. Pasta sauce. That could be lunch or dinner. We need our fruits. 2 cans of the fruits. Pineapples. Peaches. And you can't go without the applesauce. Who doesn't love applesauce? Now, of course, you can always put a sweet treat in there as well, because you're going to have the milk, and you can do your egg substitute with the vinegar and baking soda. So here we go. We got most of the box covered so far. So you're saying, well, what do you do about the dinners? So let me share with you guys a few of the dinners that I always keep in hand, so that way I can always pull them out. It doesn't need refrigeration, which is nice, and you won't believe it or not, but they actually do taste good, even when it's in a can or comes out of a can. One meal I always try to keep on hand that has recently been one of our favorites, and we all really enjoy it, and that is taco soup. I will leave that recipe in the description below, and all of them can be shelf stapled. I found these packages at Walmart. It is beef taco filling. They're already seasoned and fully cooked. There's 6 ounces of beef in each packet. You need 2 packets if you're going to make one full recipe of the taco soup. Now you're saying, Heather, does that really taste good coming out of a packet? I'm going to have to tell you, friends, I was a little bit skeptical because I wasn't sure how it was going to taste coming out of a packet. But guess what? It tastes like taco beef mixture that you could make fresh from the refrigerator to the stove. It tastes the same. I know, it's shocking. I was a little skeptical. I was worried it was going to taste funny. It doesn't. This is great. Now, I believe these were like $3 or $4 a packet, 6 ounces in an each. Again, 2 packets will make the recipe, and all you need is a packet of ranch dressing mix, pinto beans, diced tomatoes, a can of Rotel, a can of corn, and there you go. You have a meal just like that, quick in a hurry, and it's all shelf stable. Other item that I found at Walmart was this shredded Keystone beef. Now it is 14.5 ounces. Again, I was like, what is this going to taste like? Well, I can tell you, I chose to put this in a shepherd's pie. Reason why I chose shepherd's pie is everyone likes it in the family. And all the items can be shelf-stapled items when using this. You keep instant mashed potatoes on hand. You keep a can of mixed vegetables, some tomato paste to make up the roux with a little bit of flour. And you make your sauce. Keep some chicken broth on hand already stored. And friend, you have a delicious all-one-pot meal that is shelf-stapled and very convenient, and not anyone is going to know that it's canned shredded beef. No one ever knew at all, because I fed it to them twice. Ground beef in a can. Yes, there is ground beef in a can. And again, I was concerned. I'm not sure why, because I just ate ground beef in a packet. But I was still. Now, these are a tad expensive, and I would suggest buying 1 or 2 or 3 and keep them in stock because they will last forever as long as the can isn't dented and is well maintained. So, just because it has a date and it says Best by use doesn't mean that you can't eat it past the Best by use. Just letting you know. Now, this is about $14 a can. So it's obviously more than the fresh beef in the refrigerator section. It's always good to keep beef, ground beef in stock in your freezer because of those moments that you need a quick meal. However, who has forgotten to take the ground beef out of the freezer? Yeah, I'm in that camp. Busy morning, getting the kids out of the house, thought to myself, I need to pull it out. I ran to the car to get to work, and I forgot to pull out the ground beef. This is when it's really convenient, because guess what, friends? It is not frozen. And the other best part is it tastes like ground beef. Who knew? Now, what do I do with this? Quite easy. I make one of my daughter's favorite meals, and that is like a beef tomato rice mixture. I keep rice, shelf staple, a packet of the French onion soup, diced tomatoes, some chicken broth. You can use regular broth, regular water if you want. And you just need some ground beef. You put it in the pan, you cook it all up. Not everyone enjoys it, and not one person can tell that the beef came from a can. The other item I like to do with this is the good old hamburger helper. I grew up on hamburger helper. It's delicious. What was convenient for the parents is that everything was included in the box, except for the ground beef. So that made it easy. It's the same. This and this makes a meal. Now on the back, it does need milk, and it says it also needs like 4 tablespoons of mayo, or no, 2 tablespoons of mayo. And as you can see, I always keep these little packets around in the house for the very purpose of this, having something on hand to make a meal. So there we go, friends. Hamburger helper, a can of ground beef, little shelf stapled milk, and some packages of mayo you have a meal and you put it with some string beans, family loves it. Canned chicken. Guys, I grew up with this too. My grandmother used canned chicken all the time, and I'm not sure why I stopped really using canned chicken, because when you put it into dishes, no one knows that it comes out of a can. They always say though to rinse the chicken under water before using it, and I've always done that. My grandmother did that. They say it takes sort of the tinny taste of it, but it also removes a lot of the sodium if there's sodium in it. So that is a trick that you can do, is drain the chicken before putting it into your dish. Again, this is delicious with just about anything that you're going to make it with. Another item I like to throw together, hamburger helper. Why? Because all the ingredients are in the box. You add some chicken, you add the box, and all it needs is some, it says butter. Don't have butter, you can always use some olive oil, water, and milk. You can use the milk, shelf staple milk, and a can of chicken, and bam, you have a meal for your family. You pair it with some canned veggies. You can't go wrong. The bellies are full, and no one knows that it comes from a can because it's all delicious. Now this does say tuna. I am not a tuna girl. I don't like hot tuna. That just sounds gross. It even smells gross. So for this tetrazzini, it's chicken for us. Well, friends, I hope this provides you some encouragement on how to start and maintain a pantry. Again, I started just very easy and simplistic, and what was important to me, and that was to make sure that I always had lunch items on hand for my kids. I started building out what they enjoy eating, their vegetables, their proteins, their fruits, and most importantly, a snack. And I made sure I always maintain at least 5 of those items in my pantry at all times. Maybe it's only 2 for your family, and that's all the space that you have. But at least you have a start, and you have a base, and you have something there for those times of need. Maybe it's not lunches for your children to start. Maybe it's breakfasts, or maybe it's dinners. Most importantly, put a plan together. Put meal plans together that you know your family is going to eat and enjoy. Start with buying all the contents for that one meal, and then build from there. Before you know it, you're going to have a nice sized pantry. It took 2 years for me to build up a pantry to where I shop completely from it every week to develop my meal plans. There is the 80-20 rule. 80% of what I buy at my grocery hauls weekly are items that are on sale to restock my pantry, refrigerator, and freezers. 20% of that typically is the fruits and vegetables, bread and milks that I need fresh to feed my family weekly. But as you can see, once you have it built, once you provide a system and you keep utilizing and staying focused to work your pantry for those meal plans, and then what you're purchasing is to restock your pantry, then your pantry will sustain itself. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this particular video, and if you haven't already, would love for you to subscribe. My channel is all about how I function with my family, being a busy finance working mama, providing healthy meals for my family during the week, items to think about, how to manage our family budget and save for the future. So if all of that is something that you're interested in, would love to see you in my next video. And YouTube thinks that you'll like these 2 videos above, and make sure you guys stay safe, and most importantly, stay encouraged.